Washington. From Power 102 Digital.
It is Wednesday, the 11th of December, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. Emancipation Support Committee Chairman Zakia Uzuma-Wadada says she's left shocked after Chief Secretary Fali Auguste enabled Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley a house slave after the defeat of the Tobago Autonomy Bill on Monday. Uzuma-Wadada said she was disappointed to again have to call on the country's leaders to act responsibly. She said Augustine must be conscious of the sensitivity of African culture and history, what is deemed acceptable, and the potential impact on society. After a bill's failure on Monday, Augustine took to Facebook saying, quote, "Nothing is worse than when your relative who sits in the seat of power is nothing but a house slave who ignores the real dreams and aspirations of those he left behind in the field in Tobago," end quote. Uzuma-Wadada noted, if leaders' responses came from an emotional space, due diligence is necessary. She added, when leaders speak, they need to be responsible. Sometimes they speak from a place of anger or emotions, and they don't always think about how their words will affect others. Once you say something, you can't take it back. She said leaders should think about the history of the people they're talking about and be mindful of how their words make society feel. Chaguanas West Member of Parliament Dinesh Rambali claims the government's slow pace of addressing repatriation of Trinidadian children detained in Syria camps are now further complicated by the recent ousting of President Bashar al-Assad in Syria. MP Rambali says this development brings instability to an already dire humanitarian crisis. He said on October 10th, 2024, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley informed the country during his budget contribution that legislation would be brought to the Parliament to treat with the humanitarian issue of children in conflict zones. He said the country has a moral and constitutional duty to protect children no matter where they are, and let us fulfill it without delay. Barely paid workers of the Penal Debe Regional Corporation sub-office protested outside their workplace on Tuesday over outstanding allowances. They claim over 3 employees have not been paid. National Union of Government and Federated Workers grievance officer Kishel Kisun told reporters the situation is serious and appealed for urgent intervention. A UWI scholars who is doing her PhD in crop science at the University of the West Indies campus in St. Augustine copped a US $10,000 prize for contribution to science. Gillian Rowe received the 2024 L'Oreal UNESCO for Women in Science Caribbean Young Talents Award. Rowe is sharing the spotlight with co-awardee Dr. Savannah Lloyd, a lecturer in physics at UWI's Mona campus in Jamaica. In a news release on December 10th, the university said, quote, researchers at the UWI St. Augustine campus continue to make their mark on the global stage, winning widespread acclaim for their innovative work. It said Jamaican-born Rowe has added to this legacy by achieving international distinction in the field of science, further cementing UWI's reputation as a hub for world-class research, academics, and discovery. In sport, the West Indies defeated Bangladesh by 7 wickets to win the second 50 overs one-day international and the 3-match series 2-0 at Warren Park, St. Kitts and Nevis on Tuesday. The visitors made 227 runs off 45.5 overs, with opener Muhammad top scoring at 62 runs, while Jaden Seals had 4 wickets from 22 runs and 9 overs. The West Indies reached 230 for 3 from 36 overs, with Brandon King making 82, Evan Lewis 49, and Kesey Carter 45. And outgoing U.S. President Joe Biden on Tuesday branded his successor Donald Trump's economic plans a disaster. Biden said Trump's threats to impose huge tariffs on imports were a major mistake and urged the Republicans to abandon proposed tax cuts. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Neighbors, It is Wednesday, the 11th day of December. 14 days till the big fat guy with the beard. Not talking about Richard. Yeah.
Why are you speaking about yourself like that?
I said Richard, not you. Want me to say you?
Why are you speaking about
I
yourself
will
like
say
that? That's not really good.
until the big fat guy.
Again, why are you speaking about yourself like that? Don't be
Look,
so
I have
unkind to
body.
yourself.
I have body by doubles. Leave me alone. Which I can do it right now. I was running behind time. I couldn't pass by alleys and pick up doubles. But anyway, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Full casting. You just heard from Dr. Paul Richards. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, Richard Ragoobarsingh. We got Ruben and Shane in the mix. Of course, my name is Steve Khan. 25 degrees and light rain at Piarco International Airport. 23 degrees with rain in the vicinity at Crown Point in Tobago. In the Met Office, yep, they put out their bulletin early this morning. Partly cloudy conditions associated intermittently with scattered showers, rain over most areas. There's a low chance some of these showers could become heavy and or thundery. In the vicinity of heavy showers or thunderstorms, expect gusty winds, street or flash flooding. All right. So that's your weather forecast for today. Traffic-wise, I got one issue to tell you about, and it's creating quite a backlog. We have an accident northbound, Uriah Butler Highway in the vicinity of Caroni. All right, northbound, vicinity of Caroni. I'm seeing another one just before Monroe Road. Is also northbound. So please take your time. The road's wet. Yeah, so just take your time on the roads. All right. A lot of messages coming through on WhatsApp, but let's say good morning. We haven't done it for a while. Wendy and James, David Wares, and of course, Mrs. Wares. Good morning. DJ Ray, Boy Badesi and David, Ewart Rajpal, Maria Celia, Slick Money Grip, Michael Gradison, Wayne Bennett, CPT Singh, good morning. On WhatsApp, we have Sankofa, we have GNC Auto Security, we have Captain Ron, who is at home in Orlando. We have Dan Raj, and we have David Nelson. Good morning to you all. Thank you so much for joining us, especially those watching us on television, on M&E TV. Yep, good morning to you all. All righty.
Morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Pablo.
Good morning, Wendell.
Hi, morning, guys. I'm on the road. Morning, Steve. Morning, Paul. Morning, Richard. Morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And good morning, listeners and viewers all over the globe. What is happening there? I heard my favorite tune.
Yep, that's what Central Bank in Port of Spain, Independence Square looks like, right in front.
Isn't that stunning?
Yeah.
Congratulations to Central Bank. Congratulations to Central Bank for bringing some Christmas cheer into the capital and doing that fantastic job. For the Spain City Corporation, move to the back of the class.
Every year,
I'm sure they would have collaborated with the city of Port of Spain to do that. They can't, because they would not have been able to just go on the promenade and light
just get permission, Wendell.
They just give them permission.
That's all. Get permission. Okay? Give me a break. Stop. Just stop.
Listen, the Port of Spain Corporation is a failure.
What
the Port of Spain.
Collaborated with Central Bank.
A failure.
Okay?
I saw a video yesterday. DJ Anna had posted up in London, and it is absolutely gorgeous in various areas.
I don't know if these corporations and even
Lodi Christmas song down a bit.
You mean Lodi volume?
Yeah, right. Okay.
I don't know if the corporations and Doma, those things, they have some responsibility to make some Christmas cheer in the city, or to donate or contribute to making the city look like Christmas. I remember long ago, as a teenager and even as a child, I would walk through Port of Spain with my parents, and the whole of Frederick Street would be decorated from Independence Square to Queen Street.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Yes. They used to have lights string across the road.
Have lights.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
But they're always calling for thing Doma.
They give up on that a while now, because you're
But
right.
you
And
think you'll have some responsibility to get donations from the business owners to bring some Christmas cheer into the city? But you're talking
I
about
would like to see the same thing happening on Aria Peter Avenue and Western Main Road too. Those are perfect strips for people, the business people. Look at how many business people we have on Aria Peter Avenue and
So you're
those
always
spaces,
talking about profits down and sales down, and you want more people to come into the city. What are you doing about it?
Yeah.
What's your contribution to it?
Yeah.
No,
Garbage. That's a contribution. Garbage.
No, Wendell, no. The government.
Yeah.
The government.
You know, I remember a long time when it was Christmas. Everybody used to head to Port of Spain to do their Christmas shopping,
But
maybe for
don't
curtains.
make the place attractive and
It is not.
Nobody's going to come.
Nobody coming in Port of Spain no more.
They're going to mall because the malls make an effort.
Yeah, they go in malls, they go in Chaguanas, they go in Grandy, they go in Tulapuna, they go in South, High Street.
Don't even imagine to give Port of Spain City Corporation the credit for the Wendell Stephen.
No, I was just being sarcastic, right?
Well, they collaborate
because you know how I feel about it, how I felt about it.
That is all central bank, and thank you, central bank, because it stops right at central bank block end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The last person who did anything of significance in that city was Mayor Timke with Alderman James Chinchin. I remember that. They lit up Woodford Square beautifully. The promenade was lit up. After that, Mayor Martinez tried something with a big old awful-looking iron Christmas tree that get him cussed left, right, and center.
Iron Christmas tree. But at least he tried.
Yeah.
At least he tried.
At least he tried. Yeah, he tried.
Know that he tried. He missed the mark,
yeah.
but at least he tried.
Yeah.
This corporation is looking to wreck people in Port of Spain and in King George V Park. But more in addition to them, doesn't the business community feel they also have a responsibility?
Well, yeah, but actually in the past, if you know me, the business community were the ones who was helping fund it, through the city corporation,
And that's my point. That's the kind of collaboration you need to have.
Yeah. But as Ephraim said, good morning, Ephraim said, I had a chat with Ephraim said last year. He said what people don't realize is a lot of people, business people, put money behind individuals, not behind organizations, they have to trust the individual at the helm. You understand? They have to have a relationship with that individual at the helm, that when they put their finances there, that it will be properly used. He was explaining that to me with his involvement with the NTAs, because he's now back as president.
You're right.
And it makes sense.
You can't blame them, because a lot of sporting organizations have stopped getting funding because people lost interest in the governance structures.
Yeah. So he's back as NTA president. Morning again, Ephraim. But that's what it is. You have to build relationships. Murchison Brown, I think, was the best at that, building relationships with the business people in the city. After Murchison Brown left, the most combative mayor ever sat in office for 3 years. He fight with everybody. He fight with his line minister. He fight with the government. He fight with the business people. He fight with the CEO. He fight with the councillors.
Who is that, Wendell?
From 2010 to 2013, you can't remember. You don't remember who was the mayor?
Just call the damn name.
Louis Leasing. He fought with everybody. Even though he had some good ideas, he fought with everybody. And that changed the relationship between business and the Port of Spain Corporation probably forever. That's when Reckon was introduced too. Reckon was introduced during that time also. It was a disaster for the city, I'm telling you.
This is so inspiring to look at it, Imagine you're driving to the city with it. Imagine if that had been extended all the way down to Cipriani's statue. How beautiful that would be.
Hopefully it would inspire other businesses along there, unit trusts. Well, Excellence Stores is no longer. Excellence Stores also used to contribute, to lighten up parts of the city.
You tell me,
I don't know if
Bankers Association can't say Republic, Scotia, First Citizens, Then we come together and do the block in front of us there now. Because all of them on that strip, not so?
Yeah, yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Mhm.
All of them on that strip. And they're making millions and millions of dollars from the general public, which is fine. I have no problem with that. But you can't tell me they can't come together and say, okay, let's champion this. Let's bring some Christmas cheer.
Yeah, but those things are those things have got to be organized. The
I
NP
know.
have a that's what I'm saying. Those things has to be led. It has to be led by someone.
And you're right. This is really should be led by the city corporation, saying their business unit or their culture unit coming together and saying, let's approach the banking association, or let's approach DOMA, or DOMA saying, well, we have a responsibility and not just talking about profits down this year, sales down.
Yeah.
We had this same conversation 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 5
many
years.
years ago.
It's just so, and they always talk about sales down and profits down. You don't think you have a responsibility to give back in some way?
Yeah.
Look, anyway, thank you, Central Bank. This is really, in difficult times, these things uplift people's spirits, eh?
It does. It does. Trust me, it does.
They uplift people's spirits, and particularly for children. You want children to feel this. You only a child once, but a child twice. You only a baby child once.
The St. Joseph tree, I haven't seen it, but I heard it's lit up.
Yeah,
That used to be a staple as well.
St. Joseph has also done some nice work in the park.
Yeah, and I believe the guy that used to do it had passed away, and now it's back up again.
Well, I think you have to give the MP some credit for that too.
Yeah, he was there for the opening, I believe.
He makes an effort of trying to get it together. Minister MP Singh.
But we also used to have, remember, around the savannah by the botanical gardens, lit up beautifully. But
we have some stuff in and President's House and the grounds in President's House.
Yeah. Isn't that lit up? I know every year they do something.
No, I haven't seen any.
I haven't driven any night. If anybody had David Wares, you're a man around town.
Yeah.
Is that area lit up?
I mean, people have a responsibility to the business community has a responsibility to contribute, and in some instances champion this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you will benefit from it.
I remember as a child growing up, I don't know if you will. I grew up in St. James, right? As a child growing up, it was a big thing to just jump in a car. Well, nobody had car back then. Nobody in the family.
Western Main Road.
Yeah, they used to have lights across the Western Main Road too. But to go up in Port of Spain and window shop, imagine walking from store to store just looking through windows.
But mind you, during Carnival, everything is Carnival. Banners across all over the place.
Yeah, that's true.
But not for Christmas.
Yeah. Banners everywhere. Alcohol banners everywhere.
Everywhere. Right across the street.
But guys, what I'm saying is that same relationship that you build for Carnival, because everybody comes to you for Carnival to get a banner across. You could extend it to Christmas. Say, listen, we're going to do this, but we have to do something for Christmas too. You understand? And it's the same light poles they're using for TNTech that you're going from pole to pole.
Mm-hmm.
TNTech makes a ton load of money at Carnival time charging to put up those banners in. You know that?
Didn't know that.
Yes, you have to pay. Whilst you have to pay the corporation, let me tell you the cost that goes into these things. First, the advertiser had to produce these banners, right? They have to get a sponsor for these banners. Then they have to pay the corporation for permission to put up the banners. But they also have to pay TNTech to hang the banners too,
Well, it's all part of their marketing budget. It's marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an expensive venture, to put up those banners in the city. But do it for Christmas too. Negotiate that. Listen, if you're getting it, if I'm giving you permission for Carnival, then you ought to do something to help my city at Christmas time too. That's what I would do.
Such a failure.
Wendell for mayor of Port of Spain.
No, let me tell you something. The days for that mantra done. Done.
Aside. If Wendell was the mayor of Port of Spain,
oh Jesus Christ, he gone there.
Let me tell you,
Forget that now.
We would have had the biggest double palm salvatory building used to be.
No. Where's the location, Paul?
Where the salvatory used to be.
That's a perfect place for a double palm.
I would have put beds on the ground. I wouldn't even put it up a structure.
Wow.
You will just call it the palm.
The palm.
The palm. Big building,
Oh, good.
green lighting with a tree. The palm.
No, but I suspect every mayor who goes in there goes in any city, because I mean we talk about Arima all the time. Arima to me is a real easy fix, in my humble opinion. Every time I live in Arima now, I think Arima is an easy fix. I would love the challenge of Arima, trust me. But I don't know. They put a businessman in charge of Arima now, 80-something years old. The deputy mayor is a first-time councillor. Nobody never heard about him before, and they haven't heard about him since. And he's the deputy mayor of Arima. I don't know. Arima has just made a mess of their politics. A mess. They're going nowhere. But I wish them luck all the same.
Anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody. What's happening in the news? Well, a lot of flack for Teacher Chief Secretary Fali Augustine for his house slave comment.
Mm-hmm.
Has he apologized as yet?
He's not going to apologize.
Following his leader.
Fali displays very often the elements of his immaturity.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree with you on that.
That's what it is a lot of immaturity. So he just lashes out.
And a ton of arrogance.
Like a petulant child. If he doesn't get his way. You know, and when you think about the atrocities and the pain of slavery for centuries, you would be very careful with using any word that includes slave in it.
That's why I said he's following his leader. Didn't his leader say something like that already? And talk about Camille Robinson Regis and her name and whatnot?
Who is his leader, Wendell?
What do you mean, who is his leader? Don't start me this morning, you know. Don't start me this morning, you know. Who is his leader? Who is his leader? The UNC leader is his leader.
Okay, all right. News flash.
She has been known to make comments like that, and he making these similar comments. Let them go ahead attacking Dr. Kid Rowley the way they and insult him and disrespect him the way they keep doing it. Let them keep doing it and see what will happen to them.
Did you know that?
No. News to me.
Okay, Wendell.
News to me.
This morning.
That's his leader. And they show you that with that bill in Parliament Monday. And they demonstrated that Monday. If there was any doubt about the separation of the UNC and the PD, but now what are them QTP? What are them?
TPP.
TPP in Tobago. If there was any doubt with the connection between them, that was removed on Monday. One text 5 minutes before, during the debate, and that was the end of the autonomy bill.
But Dr. Rowley got the text too.
Yes.
So
yes, but Dr. Rowley would not have gotten the same text they got. They got a text about scuttling it. You understand? It would have been a different message. So what they did is scuttle it. End of autonomy. But I think this autonomy thing for Tobago is now rubbing me the same way that of local government reform. You understand? It rubbing me that same way. Sorry to say. It's like we're not serious. We can't be serious. You understand? So I have no hope for it. There is no hope for it. Because we had a People's Partnership government before, we had a UNC government before, and nothing happened. We had also a PNM government, where PNM was in charge of central government and Tobago, and nothing happened. So we're not serious. We can't be serious.
That was a big pothole they went in just now, though.
Yes. One right by South Key, and I don't know what they're waiting on to fix it. It is in the middle of the lane. If you pull from it, you're going to end up in the next lane.
Who is supposed to fix that? Not the Port of Spain Corporation. There you
I
go.
don't even know, but that pothole disgusts me every time I pass here.
Yeah.
Because anytime you break from it, you end up in the next lane.
Yeah. It's in a bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to say about Port of Spain. I don't know. Need a bush bath. Need to smoke it out or something.
Well, they've been engaged in a very successful cleanup exercise lately in all the districts. Kudos to the councillors who would have initiated that, and the public health and department and all the different departments. Because I don't know where people just get all this rubbish from every year, no? Lord.
They're cleaning out.
Rubbish.
Wendell, you ever clean your house and realize how much rubbish in your own house?
Well, I barely have anything in my house. First weekend.
You never went my Wendell. It have nothing, you know. Couch.
I barely have anything.
Oh, by the way, Wendell.
I only have what I need.
David Wares came up with the perfect name for that hotel by Salvatore. The Palm on the Lara.
You put Lara name on that.
No, you can't put Lara
name on that, Steve.
Well, the Brian Lara promenade.
Put Lara name on that. Don't put Lara name on that.
Or we could call it the Palm on the Square.
Yeah, put that.
We'll go with that.
Every time I enter the city, though, from down by Wrights Road there, I think we made a out by not making these buildings, the buildings like in Manhattan, where there could be big billboards and so on. All these glass buildings here. We dropped the ball in not ensuring that there were big screens with lights and ads and so on. All these buildings on.
Are you
the only mistake we made.
Are you implying we should be planning? Are you making this grand, innovative suggestion of novel and creativity that we should be planning how this looks?
No, but the buildings are so beautiful. All we needed was those Manhattan type finish.
Somebody actually sit down and plan and have a strategic plan and a vision for Port of Spain. That's what you're suggesting.
Well, Patrick Bannon did it, to his credit, but that's the only part he dropped the ball with. All those buildings should have been ads. You should have been seeing those big billboards.
Patrick Manning did not drop the ball at all. Patrick Manning actually upgraded the city more than any other prime minister probably in our country's history.
Yeah, I ain't saying no, you know. I'm just saying.
You say he dropped the ball. People drop the ball to that.
No, I say in terms of that part of it, he put up some beautiful buildings out there. I did
which
say
he got some real pushback and jamming.
Yeah, he got.
But at least he had a vision.
Yeah.
Okay. And he executed quite a bit of the vision too. Albeit amidst controversy.
Yep.
They called the heart.
I feel sorry for Patrick Manning. The same way I feel sorry, you know, for
Patrick Manning is his heavenly father. Don't feel sorry for him.
He getting a kind of licking these days. My God.
Well, there's
I don't know how he take it. Yeah.
Didn't Miss Prasad Bissessa get the same kind of thing? So it's part of the job being Prime Minister, Wendell. Come on. Anybody who
well actually Mrs. Prasad Bissessa in a kind of way cleverly deflected a lot of this stuff from herself, and at the end of the day is other people took the rap for it.
But she got a lot of using it figuratively jamming while Prime Minister too. Let's not pretend. Because that is the nature of the job. It is the nature of the job. George Chambers, Patrick Manning, Aina Robinson, Prasad Bissessa, and now Dr. Rowley. All. According to what's the man name? What's his name? All. And the Patrick name, all. All.
The balance.
Mr. Arrogant. No. It's the Espinay.
Not the balance, man.
No, the Espinay one.
Oh, Mr. Wilfred Espinay.
Yeah, all losing a job, all. Not the balance, man. 2 from 9 plus 3, the balance. That's a union. Our union here. Right?
He might be a minister in the next government, you know, watch yourself. All of them jockeying for position, you know. Poor Kamla Prasad Bisesa. But wait now, as they say, poor Kamla Prasad Bisesa, I saw Mrs. Prasad Bisesa last night on the television, actually opening herself up to a couple of questions and so on. She was on a forum where she was sitting with other people. And they were talking. I remember part of it, Dr. Anand Chattergoon, former whatever he was, coming up and speaking and berating Terence Dayal thing.
Let me ask you a couple of questions about those types of fora. Like the conversations with the Prime Minister. When they are organized primarily by a political entity, the questions in the audience are primarily friendly fire.
True.
It is not the kind of interrogation you would expect if they sit down with a credible journalist.
Yeah, which is what she needs to do.
So you can't count them kind of thing on both sides.
So I don't know if it was the start of her coming out.
Those audiences on both sides. So even if you get, and you're going to get a tough question or two, if you're lucky, but even if that question or two is circumscribed by the environment you're in, because if you jam too hard, the crowd is not going to take it.
Yeah.
Come on.
But I don't know if it was her prepping herself to finally start facing the media, because trust me, if she really wants to be prime minister again, she got to face the media.
I think she probably has the same kind of communication strategy as the commissioner of police.
No, that ain't gonna work. Not with this media now.
Who clearly?
Who go in and sit down and chat with her over she? And that's it. That's what we're gonna call a interview with the media. We can't be serious. Morning, Miss Rupna.
That's what I meant. I did preface journalists with an adverb or an adjective. Didn't I? Shall we open the phone lines, gentle people?
Yes, we shall. Let me say happy birthday to a good friend of mine, Nafisa Mohammed. Happy birthday, Nafisa, and anybody else.
Laventil?
No, not that Nafisa.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's say happy birthday.
It's the same name, man. It's the same name she has. Come to think of it, it's the same name.
Yeah, let's say happy birthday going out to Rhonda Crutchlow. Happy birthday to you. And Natasha de Berg. She is a Trini that was on the Bravo television show Below Deck. She was a chef. Happy birthday to you. All right, let's grab this call. Good morning.
Good morning to all the good gentlemen. Good morning.
Good morning, Ellie.
Good morning, Dr. Paul. Good morning, Mr. Steve, Mr. Steve Khan, and good morning, Mr. Stephen.
Fire again in LA, boy.
But hey, Steve, I'm working right now, but I'm working night shift now, but it's talk about the place cold, right? Oh, God. Hey,
jeez.
Always walking around listening. Mr. Wendell, Steve, are you hearing me, sir?
Morning, Mr. Ellie. How are you going?
I'm morning, so how are you going? Glad to. I don't like to make political statements, you know that, Wendell. Wendell, right. You called me this morning. I advocate for years, advocate for the.
I remember.
You belong to the organization. I'm not going to call in the organization you belong to give you a chance to be the mayor of Port of Spain. We'd have seen some changes in Port of Spain. We would have seen it, Wendell. With the exception of Mr. Terry Rondon, there's nobody in the PNM, no local government like you. I remember when you came when you were here and you say, hey, you asked Mr. Imbert, what is the criteria to make a mayor? And all the criteria you call out, you fit the exact criteria. You asked him, what then? So why it is they didn't give you a chance? I think when Dr. Raleigh is no longer there and Mr. Imbert no longer there, Wendell, you'll get the chance. Contribution.
I like that.
Are you implying that Dr. Rowley and Minister Imba blocking Wendell's chance as being the mayor? Is that what you're suggesting?
In not too many words. Wendell came and he didn't say it too many because the PNM have a reputation that those words was a dirty linen in the public. We know this. But Wendell came and not too many words and say Mr. Imbert is one of the blockers on he being the mayor for the scheme. And Wendell will labor in the vineyard for years for the organization. So at least to give him the chance to go to higher office and make a contribution in the city of Port of Spain. When they run the downtown carnival for 6 years, I never had no problem when Wendell was the president. Am I right or wrong?
You're very right.
You understand? I don't understand that. So Wendell, I hope if given the opportunity, I know that you're rich as state now, you don't want to be in local government anymore, but I hope if they call on you to be the mayor, you still accept the portfolio because I know you're going to make some serious changes. Look out, it's Christmas time. I'm watching them, their pictures on the jet put up. They come on, man, serious, man. I live in Long Beach here. If you saw the city of Long Beach, I mean, it's set up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every capital that has any pride is well decorated with Christmas decorations right now.
Dr. Paul, I like to give you a title, sir, because you work hard. You're a doctor. I will give you a title, sir. I respect people. But Wendell, that organization, that's the only thing that you're upset about. You, there's nobody else in the PNM, no local government like you. The only person who was in front of you was Mr. Terry London, and may God rest his soul. That's the only person, in my opinion, I can put in front of you. Other than you, there's nobody else in the PNM, no local government like you. Why take the cast fit to give people, and you labor so hard in the vineyard and still labor in the vineyard? This organization, and they wouldn't give you the opportunity to run the city, right? With the mayor, they pick some people out who's in mayor. You don't say here about them at all. How does man become mayor? But you never hear nothing about him before. But all of a sudden, he's mayor. I don't understand that at all, but they should really do. But don't worry, Wendell. I gonna live to see the day that you become the mayor for us now, because and I make 2 requests with you. I want to deal with the 2 V, Wendell and Vagrant. That's all I ask for.
All right.
Anyway, guys,
That's an endorsement again, Mr. Ellie. But it, you know, there are some things in life that you go through and you just accept. And it's all stages of life. Huh?
To my chagrin, I was driving up Abercrombie Street and a woman was walking with her 2 children. They looked like about 5 and 8. And she had to cross the road by that abandoned Republic Bank because there's a homeless person bathing, you know, and she just had to cross the road with her children to protect their innocence.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Abandoned Republic Bank on Abercrombie Street? Where is that?
Abercrombie and Independence Square.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that bank. There's no Republic Bank there anymore?
Oh, Papa. Yeah, no one. It's been gone.
Not for the public.
Oh, my goodness. I haven't been in town so long. I didn't realize. That's the one that stretches across the rich one?
No, it doesn't stretch that far.
No, it is.
Oh, St. Vincent.
It doesn't stretch to St.
Yes.
In the middle, yes.
Yes. It goes across to St. Vincent, that's all?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But
Right. We have a call here.
Morning, gentlemen.
Oh,
Good morning.
Morning.
I want to ask a question. Wendell, does DOMA, under DOMA, are the banks included under
No.
DOMA? Oh,
No.
Well, I hear
No,
nobody
bank.
touching the banks, you know, because I see the millions and billions.
you
making
just
profit.
woke up.
Nah, man, but Paul raised yes for the banks.
I listen to Oli. It's my time to say something now. A call. I said I'm not hearing the banks in the millions they're making, and apart from the business people, what happening to them and putting out money to help clear?
But Zena, we just corrected you. You know.
What?
Because we did raise the issue of the banks. We did it.
Well, I must have missed that, but I didn't wake up. I wake up since
No.
Paul was reading the news.
No
I mean,
problem.
he was closing in between.
She didn't focus on what she wanted to focus on.
But,
Yeah.
but
You see, sometimes your problem is you don't be listening to Paul. If you would listen to him, you would understand and you would hear. You don't be listening to him.
I listening to Mia Moore all the time. That's my love, so I must listen to him. Here what? I heard Martin George on the news last night, all the usual lovely go-to. And you know, he talk about Tobagonians have to get serious and about this bill and blaming the politicians. So, monkeying around in Parliament. He didn't use those words, but however he put it. You know, he stayed clear. Very strange. He stayed very clear from the issue with the behavior of Farley. You understand? And I know I like to call him. I would really like to hear him go onto that side too. So when he talking to, he could scold Fali as well.
Oh, we have somebody
Right?
after 7 o'clock you'd love to hear.
And heritage and all the different gas and oil organizations. I don't hear all they're telling us what all they're doing and the good things and how much money they're making and what. Sometimes in the morning start with something that
You well, you see, because now you have the communications portfolio with all these entities, you could tell us.
No, you are Power 102. You understand?
Yes,
You to bring the new starts and we go chat.
Zena Richards.
All right, thanks, Zena.
Bye-bye.
Morning, Richard.
Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, guys. And morning to listeners and viewers, wherever you are.
I see Richard Ragoobarsingh in person for the first time in 305 years yesterday.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you do? What did Richard do?
He made a courtesy visit.
I was nice to see Evie too. I told Evie and I had a little chat.
But I get a nice big hug from Evie when I came in there on Monday. Because I haven't seen Evie for a little while.
She's hug all here. She just buffed me.
Witness right here.
And scowl at me. That's what she do. Anyway, Steve, tell them who the guest is at 7:05, please. Let them all be so excited. He swam all the way from Tobago to be here.
The one, the only Watson Duke.
Solomon? I hear Watson Duke calling on Fadi to apologize to the Prime Minister. Watson Duke, like he forget what he used to be saying. I mean, I agree with him that Fadi should apologize, but I'm saying that level of hypocrisy, I don't know now. I different with that boy. Because he's saying he making it look like Fali's the only person who talk them kind of thing and call the Prime Minister names. Like he forget what he used to be saying. I don't forget them thing, you know.
Congratulations to UWI scholar Gillian Rowe, who has received the 2024 L'Oreal UNESCO for Women in Science Caribbean Young Talents Award. And also co-awardee Dr. Savannah Lloyd, a lecturer in physics at UWI's Mona campus in Jamaica. Two young women received the Women in Science Young Talent Award from L'Oreal, including a US $10,000 prize for contribution to science. So congratulations to both these women who are doing great things in academics.
Guys, you know what I've been meaning to ask? Because I haven't really followed this story. Shaman has been sending it to me.
And you say congratulations to them also.
No. Well, congratulations. But that story with the healthcare CEO and the killing and so on, what really is the basis of that? Is it that somebody was upset with some insurance? Because it almost seems like it's precedent setting.
It's from the chronology of the events and from the markings on the bullets that investigators have found, which said delay, defend, and some other D word, which seem to be the mantra of big insurance companies who people are seeking claims from in the US, because of course it's all, you know what I think about insurance in many cases.
Well, what we all think.
You take your money, and it's the hardest thing to get your money. It's not exclusive to Trinidad and Tobago. And it seemed that this young man could have found those markings and some of the bullets that killed the man. And he was a very apparently bright young man, went to a family who have money, had some back injury that damaged his sex life, had debilitating pain, and had some issues collecting money from insurance, and decided, well, me taking that. And very, very seemingly very unstable based on the utterances he was saying going into the courtroom after they found him.
Yeah, he tripped off, man.
Well, so he seems to be very unstable, and what they're saying is that I'm sure his because they're building a narrative already here. If was a person of color in the US, he'd be a terrorist already.
Well,
But
he probably would have been.
they're bearing because he's from an affluent family, they're bearing toward the mental instability plea.
Well, yeah, but the approach the police make the day in McDonald's might also have been different because he was armed to the teeth.
Exactly. Yep.
You know?
If it was a person of color in the US, he wouldn't be taken into court in handcuffs.
Mm.
Let's just say that. Richard, do you have papers? He asked foolishly. Why? Who will be under that table turning off your mic?
No, I turned it off because I saw a video pop up, so I was wondering what it was. But
you suggesting Richard has a moniker somewhere in the midst there?
It could be a buck. It could be a buck running around the ground and just turn off the mic ever so often in mischief.
Maybe
it
Wendell.
was something in the Power Breakfast group actually. So I was just, of an alleged. I'll have to say alleged. I don't know if it's been confirmed murder in Arima.
No, it was on Facebook too, Richard. I saw it trending on Facebook.
Yeah.
The punch man.
Yeah. Green Street Arima.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
So it's Wednesday, 11th December.
At the Guardian, so I could do the Guardian poll.
Okay, thank you. How many days to Christmas, Steve? That's
14.
14 days to Christmas. Okay. Let's start with the Express for today. Tobago, a pivotal battleground in election, says political analysts. They said there are 9 marginal seats. Every year it's changed apparently from 7 to 9. Bad Santa, robs business and steals ride. Laborer dies in attack, employer escapes. Bather murdered at Sesame Street house. Farley says the fight is not over. And Kamala election licks a pain. Why is this Express thing always so old? It's always outdated for some reason. Would you like to do the Guardian, Mr. Ragoobarsingh?
Okay, you finish that quickly. I didn't realize.
Because there are no news stories on the Express online. That's no sort of
Okay, so the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today, and the headline, the front page headline, "Bring them home." That's the headline that the Guardian went with this morning. Calls for repatriation of Trinis and amid rising tension in troubled Syria. Licks for Farley over house slave comment. But the main picture is that of Syrian families wait to cross into Syria from Turkey at the I'm going to guess how to pronounce this Silvergazoo border gate near Antakya, southern Turkey yesterday. Scores of Syrians have been returning home since President Bashar Assad was overthrown over the weekend, because that was huge international news over the weekend. And so quickly it happened too. So that's the front page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian today. Let me go to the back page. And in the sports pages, we have to go a little bit up to get to the sports. You're right. Sports pages. Windies and drought. First ODI series win over Bangladesh in 10 years, believe it or not. And there's an inset photo of Trinidad and Tobago's 4-man bobsleigh team, which placed 4th at the North American Cup in Park City, Utah, in the United States over the weekend. The Soca Sliders, led by pilot Axel Brown and featuring Thomas Harris, Zaveri Williams, and DeAndre John, clocked a blazing 48.17 seconds, which kept them within fractions of a second or third place. However, a day later, the team clocked 47.98 and 48.17 seconds, just missing out on a podium finish. So congrats to the Trinidad and Tobago's bobsleigh team. And that's it for the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian.
Now, moving to the Newsday. Tobago coral reefs analyzed with new technology. Rambali, bring Trinidad and Tobago children home from Syria. Pilots tell Cal don't stop paying salaries in US. Cal salaries get paid in US? Really?
They do.
Didn't know that.
Did not know that too.
2 UE scholars get L'Oreal UNESCO awards. I spoke about that earlier. UNC big pharmacies monopolizing drugs and forex. US donates US 100,000 in equipment to ODPM and regional corporations. AG office holders to be held accountable for failing victims of domestic violence. Hines just wants to live after leaving electoral politics. Cedrus fishermen scammed on Facebook Marketplace and Laperouse Cemeteries, Perrygate refurbished. Imber, media misled public on Tobago airport project. Is the media mislead the public? Okay. Webster Roy, stigma hampering fight against HIV and AIDS. And Pradial Lastney constable hurt in crash, plans to sue colleague and the state. So those are trending stories in your Express, Guardian, and Newsday for today, Wednesday, 11th December, 2024.
All righty. Let's get the results of our morning poll, where we asked you yesterday, should THA Chief Secretary Farley Augustine apologize to Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley for the house slave comment which he posted on Facebook? Results are in. 63% said yes. All right. So let's get into this morning's poll.
So my question, and you may want to change the construction depending on how you feel about the question. It is not the first time there's been a call, because I actually raised it in Parliament already, for the government to bring the necessary legislation to be able to bring the children, the TNT children, who are children of people who, in some instances, went to do it wherever they want to do in Syria, right? Home. It is a complex issue, but many people have made the call. It has not happened. Now with this overthrow of the Assad family in Syria, the place has gotten even more unstable. The nuance with it is that in many cases, you can't bring the children home without the mother in particular. And there is a fear by some that some of the mothers may have
been radicalized.
Have been radicalized. Thank you, Richard. Have been radicalized and pose a threat to national security in Trinidad and Tobago if they're brought in with the children. So there's a nuance to all of that when people say bring the children home, because you can't bring the children home without at least the mother or one of the parents who may have been radicalized. So the question is, and you could change the question, do you think the government is doing enough to bring the children, TNT children from Syria home?
You're on mute, Wendell.
Oh, sorry. Do you think what? Sorry?
The government is doing enough to bring the TNT children in Syria home.
Well, it depends on what they're doing at all. Do you believe that the children should be allowed home? Should be brought back home?
Well, the issue is not but it's the government has to make the interventions.
But we worried about radicalization there, and we have such a big problem here.
Well, you're right, but it's just about these children and their welfare in a seemingly unstable country.
Bring them back, man. Whatever you need to do, let them come back.
Everybody wants, a lot of people want them to come back, but are the interventions being made by the government enough? Because I asked the question in Parliament when the Minister of National Security said there's some program, is it called Nightingale or something so? But the answer was very nebulous.
Okay.
Because it's a complex diplomatic issue. And for the reasons I outlined earlier on. So that's why the question is phrased the way it's phrased.
All right, so let's put it up. Start calling 222-8255. Toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099. WhatsApp, 318-1021.
It has to be championed by the Ministry of National Security and the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs. They can't just come home like that. You understand?
I think you need to make it a little simpler for the voting audience. I think it should simply be, should the children from Syria be brought home?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
because is the government doing enough? People are going to say, but we don't know.
We don't know exactly.
Yeah.
We don't know what they're doing. Yeah.
But should they be brought back is a clearer question.
Yeah.
About yes or no for them.
Yeah.
I can't take the politics out of it because once you put government, it'll politicize it.
Yep.
All right. Simple poll this morning.
And that's why I asked
the TNT children in Syria be brought home. Yes or no? Calls coming in. Let's go. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
I don't think so with them turning over yet. I don't know.
All right. Thank
you.
You.
Yes or no?
Yeah, vote either yes or no.
Yeah, yes or no.
Can't say I don't think so. With them cheering. What do you mean by that?
Boy, I tell you. Simple yes or no. Good morning to TJ out in
children, minors.
Let's see. Boy Badesi. What did boy say? No. Good morning, Josie Richardson. Yes. Brent Hackshaw, yes. David Wares, yes. Slick Money Grip, yes. Should the TNT children in Syria be brought home? Simple. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning again. Who sent them there? Who helped to get them there?
Yes or no? Right, thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Choice. That'll go where the parents go.
Good morning, gentlemen. Gasparello said yes.
All right, Gasparello, thank you.
Children pick up and go on their own.
Good morning.
Good morning to the Borough family. Good morning to the Borough Breakfast Crew.
Yes. Morning. Yes. Thank you. Good morning.
Trinity saying no. Who they coming home to?
Thank you, Trin City.
Well,
good
with
morning.
The parent, hopefully.
Morning.
With the mother.
Morning, Sandy Grandy. Yes.
Great. Thank you, Grandy. Have a good one. Slick Money Grip. Yes. Rennie Devines. Yes. Michael Robinson. Yes. Kenny out in Harlem. Yes. Wayne Bennett. Yes. Julia Espatiste. Yes. Up north. Yes. Miss Ingrid. Tucson, Arizona. Yes. Augustine. Yes. Lester Craigwell. Yes. All right. Should the TNT children in Syria be brought home? Yes or no? 222-8255 locally. North Americans like US and Canada, toll free 866-525-1099. Anthony in Toronto. What did Anthony say? Yes to the poll. Thank you. All right. Facebook, YouTube can message us. All right. Should the TNT children in Syria be brought home? Yes or no? Let's see.
Right. That's our poll this morning. Should the Trinidad and Tobago children in Syria be brought home? Were they all born in Trinidad and Tobago? Or was some
were born there and some are born, a lot are born here. It's a mixed bag.
Yeah. It's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
So should the Trinidad and Tobago, should the TNT children in Syria be brought home? That's our question this morning. What do you think?
James says no.
But my understanding is that even the ones who are born there are not necessarily automatically granted Syrian citizenship.
Yeah. Trini Get Fit says yes. Trini Get Fit, I better call you for 2025. Need to get a little fit.
And as far as
I see, just as an aside, I see Karen Pollard and Dinanad Ramnarine launched a new business yesterday. I think it's actually in St. James. Go Electric. They're bringing in electric vehicles for taxis and for sale and so on. I'll go and check them out. I think they're right on that back road there in St. James, Delhi Street.
What street?
Delhi. I say Delhi. People say Delhi.
A big St. James man like you was in Delhi Street.
Oh.
I tell you, that's how we grew up calling Delhi Street, but it's Delhi, I know.
All right. Let's see if we have any more votes before I go into my major news. Trini get fit. I have Roger Seawing saying no. All right. Up north. Lenny James says no. Checking back here one more time. All right, let's get into our major news, guys. Evie is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Emancipation Support Committee Chairman shocked after Chief Secretary Fali Augustine labeled Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley a house slave. An opposition MP says urgent action needed to repatriate Trinidad and Tobago children from Syria. Consultation in Tobago from Wednesday on the placement of statues, monuments, and signage in Trinidad and Tobago. And West Indies win second one-day international against Bangladesh by 7 wickets to claim the series 2-0. Details in a moment. This is news at 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sindhil-Bab. Good morning. Emancipation Support Committee Chairman Zakia Uzoma Wadada says she was left shocked after Chief Secretary Fali Augustine labeled Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley a house slave after the defeat of the Tobago autonomy bills on Monday. Uzoma Wadada said she's disappointed to again have to call on the country's leaders to act responsibly. She said Augustine must be conscious of the sensitivity of African culture and history, what is deemed acceptable, and the potential impact on society. After the bill's failure on Monday, Augustine took to Facebook saying, quote, "Nothing is worse than when your relative who sits in the seat of power is nothing but a house slave who ignores the real dreams and aspirations of those he left behind in the field in Tobago," end quote. He hashtagged house slave mentality and wicked prime minister. But Uzoma Wadada noted that even if leaders' responses come from an emotional space, due diligence is necessary. She added that when leaders speak, they need to be responsible. Sometimes they speak from a place of anger or emotions, and they don't always think about how their words affect others. She said, once you say something, you cannot take it back. She also stated that leaders should think about the history of the people they're talking to and be mindful of how their words make society feel. Chaguanas West Member of Parliament Dinesh Rambali claims the government's slow pace in addressing the repatriation of Trinidadian children detained in Syrian camps has now been further complicated by the recent ousting of President Bashar al-Assad in Syria. MP Rambali said this development brings instability to an already dire humanitarian crisis. Rambali said on October 10th, 2024, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley informed the country during his budget contribution that legislation would be brought to the parliament to treat with the humanitarian issue of children in conflict zones. Rambali said that the country has a moral and constitutional duty to protect children no matter where they are. He implored the government to fulfill that duty without further delay. Daily paid workers of the Penal Debe Regional Corporation sub-office protested outside their workplace on Tuesday over outstanding allowances. They claim over 3 employees have not been paid. National Union of Government and Federated Workers Union grievance officer Kashaya Kisoon told reporters the situation is serious and appealed for urgent intervention.
We hope that administration will see the justice in it and actually think about the workers, because if the workers don't go out and work, nothing happens. Today, nothing happened because all the drivers are sitting here. So we are hoping that we do have a round 2, because it might be worse than this.
Matters relating to the Tobago sub-office of the Registrar General's Department will be addressed by Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Reginald Armour today. This will be done at a news briefing at the Office of the Prime Minister, Central Administrative Services Tobago at Orange Hill Road, Scarborough at 1:30 p.m. At a post-cabinet news briefing on November 28th at Whitehall, Port of Spain, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said, quote, "Upon further investigation on the involvement of information and concerns from the members of Parliament in Tobago, I can now satisfy myself that the issue of the operations of the Registrar General's office in Tobago has once again become an issue that requires the attention intervention of the government. Tobago House of Assembly's Chief Secretary Fali Augustine claimed at a news briefing the central government appears to be deliberately undermining Tobagonians' autonomy by restricting services traditionally offered at the Registrar General's office in Tobago. Today at 5 p.m., the Cabinet-appointed committee to review the placement of statues, monuments, and signage in Trinidad and Tobago will hold a public consultation at the Scarborough Library Facility Audiovisual Room. The committee is inviting the public to share their views on the criteria that should be established for erecting statues and monuments, suggestions for the removal or retention of specific statues and monuments in public places, and suggestions for new statues, monuments, and signage. Written submissions are also invited and can be emailed to Committee on Monuments at gov.tt or sent via post or dropped off at the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities, and Transportation, 12 Sanka Building, Sangsters Hill, Scarborough. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. A UWI scholar who is doing her PhD in crop science at the University of St. Augustine campus recently copped a US $10,000 prize for contribution in science. Gillian Rowe received the 2024 L'Oreal UNESCO for Women in Science Caribbean Young Talents Award. Rowe is sharing the spotlight with co-awardee Dr. Savannah Lloyd, a lecturer at the physics department at UWI, Mona, Jamaica. In a news release on December 10th, the university said researchers at the UWI St. Augustine campus continue to make their mark on the global stage, earning widespread acclaim for their innovative work. It said Jamaica-born Rowe has added to this legacy by achieving international distinction in the field of science, further cementing UWI's reputation as a hub for world-class research and discovery. Rowe's research involves the development of microbial-based sustainable solutions for managing rhizome rot disease in ginger in Jamaica. UWI said among a cadre of 23 applicants, Ms. Rowe's research stood out to the jury, comprised of eminent researchers from various disciplines. And in an item of sport, West Indies defeated Bangladesh by 7 wickets to win the 50 overs one-day international and the 3-match series 2-0 at Warren Park, St. Kitts and Nevis on Tuesday. The visitors made 227 runs of 45.5 overs, with opener Mahmudullah top scoring with 62 runs, while Jaden Seals had 4 wickets for 22 runs from 9 overs. West Indies reached 230 for 3 from 36 overs, with Brandon King making 82, Evan Lewis 49, and Casey Carty 45. Well, finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, partly cloudy conditions associated intermittently with scattered showers and rain over most areas. There is a low chance some of the showers could become heavy and or thundery. In the vicinity of heavy showers and or thunderstorms, expect gusty winds, street and or flash flooding, and isolated street ponding in areas so prone. You can expect a temperature high of a very cool 30 degrees Celsius, both at Piarco International Airport and Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it's 24 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 23 at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, Emancipation Support Committee Chairman shocked after Chief Secretary Fali Augustine labeled Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley a house slave. An opposition MP says urgent action needed to repatriate Trinidad and Tobago children from Syria. Consultation in Tobago from today on placement of statues, monuments, and signage in Trinidad and Tobago. And West Indies win second one-day international against Bangladesh by 7 wickets to claim the series 2-0. I'm Avril Sindhilbab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All righty, Avi. Thank you so much for our major news. You can join her again at 8 o'clock for a news brief. Let's see. Traffic. What's going on? Just from Monroe Road to by Carney, you got some traffic. There was an earlier accident. It's apparently moved by now. And from Baratown to Port of Spain is where you're going to get some traffic. And as I say that, I remember last evening, under the El Socorro walkover, an individual got knocked down crossing the highway underneath the El Socorro walkover. Don't know. Really don't know. All right, let's see if we have any more votes. TJ out in Japan. says yes. TJ actually saw a quick documentary on the fast railway system that you all have. They actually have sensors to check to see there's an earthquake and shut down the system immediately. Thought it was quite cool. And that's it. I just have TJ's yes. Where did Santa Claus go? Calling Santa Claus. Santa baby, where are you? Okay, let's change it. Where's Richard?
All right. Sorry, I was just getting some coffee there. So, should the Trinidad and Tobago children in Syria be brought home? So that's our poll this morning. And you just had one more, right, Steve?
One yes.
Okay, near the distance. So yes, so we have 26 people voting on the poll this morning. Of the 26, 20 of you said yes, and 6 of you said no. So 20 said yes, 6 said no. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, through our programming, and we'll give you the final result tomorrow morning, which will be Thursday. Should TNT children in Syria be brought home? You can continue to vote on this poll, and we'll give you the final result tomorrow. So that's it in terms of our poll results for today, Wednesday, and midweek. Yeah, it's a kind of poll that some people may not want to vote on. I suppose because they may be conflicted. I guess I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe you have no interest.
Well, this has been an ongoing story for several years now. This is not a new story.
Oh, yeah.
This story has been ongoing for years with regard to the return of those children. But the overthrow of Bashar al-Assad and the rapidity in which it happened over the weekend was mind-boggling. Of course, you're not so sure who's going to now fill up that vacuum. And
they have, they have chosen.
Well, they have chosen an acting prime minister, but it's still unclear. You remember Syria is complex, There's certain parts of Syria that are controlled by different groups. So it's not just one homogeneous country, so to speak, in terms of rulership. So it's a complex situation and how they navigate it as a people to get to some sort of resolution from some very dark days and a civil war. And well, I don't even know what to call it, man, because that civil war had so many foreign players. I don't know if to call it a civil war. So,
all right,
see how it all plays out.
All right, our guest is online, so let's welcome Mr. Watson Duke. Good morning. Not hearing you.
You're on mute.
You're muted. Yeah, take off your glasses so you can see. That's right. You're on my glasses, borrow.
Sunlight. Gentlemen, good morning. It's a pleasure being with you this morning. Trinidad and Tobago, good morning. It's a pleasure being with you guys. I'm indeed privileged to be in such great and illustrious company.
I like
it's been a while. It's been a while.
Yes, definitely. It has been.
In terms of you being on the program, I suppose we could start off the conversation right off the bat with the issue of the autonomy bills that were, the material one, the constitutional one, not being passed in Parliament because of the opposition not supporting it. And, your former colleague, I say former, I don't know if it's former or if it's still your colleague, Farley Augustine, saying that he rejoiced, according to the media, that he was happy that it did fail. What's your position?
I first of all want to think that the bill of itself may have been well intentioned, right? But at the end of the day, it did not meet the type of expectations Tobagonians desire for itself. Let me tell you this, right? Tobagonians are more aware now than they've ever been in the history of their own personal development. We have made significant progress in our social development, thanks to social media and persons like you guys on the media who present fearless reporting, etc. People are more aware now, and you cannot come to Tobago with the past ideas whereby Tobago wants autonomy. Tobago wants to choose, and autonomy is only one out of three positions that Tobago can choose as its political status. The discussion from since 1977, when our Prime Minister, well, our then representative for Tobago East, Ian Robinson, made a presentation in Parliament, circled around autonomy for Tobago. Tobagonian wants to have a discussion on independence, on autonomy, and an association. We have never had a chance to choose, and based on international law in the UN, etc., Tobago has a right to decide among itself without any external pressures its future. We have never ever had a chance to choose. No one never asked us a question. It simply gave us what we want, simply because Tobago has been a ward, has been from since 1898. We have been a ward of Trinidad and Tobago, not Trinidad, but Trinidad and Tobago. May I hasten, gentlemen, just to say this? In 1887, Queen Victoria, the then head of the British Empire, sought to merge through the Parliament of the British Empire Trinidad and Tobago and Trinidad into one country. They became a state. Then years later, in 1898, she then decided to make Tobago a ward of the country, Trinidad and Tobago. So legally speaking, there's no such thing called Trinidad. There's Trinidad and Tobago, and there is a Tobago. If I explain that properly, I'm happy. If I'm not, I will wish to go at it again. But there is something called Trinidad and Tobago, which is a country, and there's something called Tobago, which is a ward.
Good morning again, Watson Duke. What do you think specifically legislatively was lacking in the bill that would give the type of autonomy that you are suggesting Tobago wants, and what does that look like legislatively?
Legislatively, the constitution that we have currently now is not a bad one. The constitution assumes Trinidad and Tobago is a country as one, and there is no differentiation between Tobago and Trinidad because the country is one. The constitution does not speak of Tobago being a ward. The Trinidad and Tobago Act that was created in 1887 speaks of Tobago being a ward. This is the first thing that the constitution should have dealt with. Now, in the bill presented at Parliament, I must give Jackie Jacket and Jimmy Jim Boots. They sought to touch on the issue. In the what we will call the preamble, which is the story before the story, they state that the island of Tobago and the island of Trinidad will have equality of status. That assumes the word ward is removed from it, and there's now equal partners. And they went on further to say that Tobago will have the right to self-determination, which is to determine its own political status and freely pursue its economic, social, and cultural development. They said that. The same thing is said of Trinidad also. Those are in the preamble. I would have wanted those things to be excised from the preamble and placed in the act of itself, the body of the act. If that was done there, that alone would have been sufficient for me, because we could have taken it from there now. With the right to self-determine as a constitutional right, we all know what that means. And if they give us that, that would have been sufficient. How
does that impact? How do you think that would impact the situation where it's one country with two equal partners? That's what the implication is, right? and our present construct where there's a Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago that makes laws for Trinidad and Tobago, and in your version, the two equal partners. How would Tobago play into that lawmaking capability that governs both Trinidad and Tobago as a unitary state?
Currently now, this is what obtains. There's one parliament in the country. There's no country with two parliaments. There's one parliament in the country, which is a national, I should say there's one national parliament in the country, right? The other thing we have in Tobago is called a legislative assembly, and we do not legislate there, we do not make laws there, right? However, there's one national assembly that make laws for Trinidad and Tobago, of which Tobago has 2 votes only, or 2 seats. That is highly unjust. It's a marked degree of inequity, because Tobago can always be voted down on the Tobago issues. In the Senate, that's the House of Representatives. It's 41 seats, 29 in Trinidad, 2 in Tobago. In the Senate, there is no Tobago seats for the Senate. Everything done in the Senate to benefit Tobago is purely tokenism and purely vibes. That's what it is. There is no right.
In the Senate, there's no Trinidad seat either. There are seats that there are positions that are appointed by the president, by the prime minister, and the leader of the opposition. There's no Trinidad seat or Tobago seat in the Senate.
I think you are highly wrong, and you are skewed. Not just wrong, but you're also skewed also too. You have skewed the wrong thing. We are talking Trinidad and we are talking Tobago as a country, right? And in the country, there are definitely 39 seats in Trinidad and 2 seats in Tobago. That is the House of Representatives. It's comprised representation of both countries in the House of Representatives. In the Senate, there should also be representatives in the Senate representing Tobagonians. And if you see nothing wrong with that, then there's something wrong with your thinking. And this is the thinking Tobagonians are trying to escape from, the domination of one partner over the other. Hence,
so are you suggesting that there are seats in the Senate that should be appointed by the Tobago, the Chief Secretary of the House of Assembly? Is that your suggestion?
I'm not suggesting that, but even thinking of that's a low class thinking. I am suggesting that Tobago must be given the right to choose. I'm not sure if you understand the term. Maybe you don't understand the term. Let me explain to you. Self-determination is a cardinal principle rooted in international law, well-founded, well-established. Self-determination is the inalienable right of any people, any group of people, right? And that's a thing that can be defined. I won't get into it. Where they, among themselves, without any external influence, decides on their political status as one, and they freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. These are fundamental things. And if we're going to have this discussion, I think you need to take some time and understand what we're talking here.
Mr. Duke, you made a statement that regarding the Senate, that you said my view is skewed.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand why you think my view is skewed when you said there is no seat in the Senate that is for Tobago. How do you think that should work? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Well, Tobago should decide on that. That's not a matter. We have to fix the constitution. I'm not talking seats. I'm just using the seat to represent the problem that now exists, and the problem that the constitution, if it was passed, would allow to exist again. We are saying Tobago must decide. We must decide on the representation of our people. We must decide what's good for Tobago and what's not good for Tobago. People like you cannot decide for Tobago. Nobody who doesn't have the experience of living in Tobago and the culture of Tobago can decide for us. It's a matter for Tobagonians.
But Mr. Duke, with all due respect, what Paul is trying to ask you, right? Because there are Tobagonians in the Senate. As a matter of fact, the president of the Senate is a Tobagonian. So what mechanism are you suggesting that Tobago be allowed people in the Senate? By what means? When you say Tobago must decide, through whom or through what organization? That's what I think he's trying to ask you.
Again, I want the conversation to remain as it is. One way we're discussing the constitutional amendments. And this is not a Senate discussion. So that is not what I will be focusing. I'm focusing on.
But you raised it. You raised the issue of the inequity in the Senate.
As an example. But I'm not trying to fix the Senate. I'm trying to fix Tobago. And I'm trying to fix Trinidad. I am a Tobagoan by birth. My ancestors, when they came from Africa, they land in Tobago. This is not I didn't come from Grenada or any place. I came from my ancestors' land directly. I could go back to my ancestors. They come land directly here. So when I speak as a born and bred Tobagonian. So I'm saying Tobagonian has that right to decide, and we demand that right. It's not up for discussion. That right is ours. And this is why the bill failed yesterday, because Tobagonian was not given that right to decide.
So let me ask this other question. I think, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, at one point in time, you had actually called for the secession of Tobago. Is it? You didn't.
I said if we are not given the right to have independence of thought, meaning we should have our own judicial system in Tobago, we should have our own parliamentary system in Tobago, and those kind of stuff, certain organs that make Tobagonians more free to develop, then I'm saying we should get our independence. Because
is it that the system that you're talking about more akin to a federal system, where you have a certain amount of lawmaking capability, akin to like what United States is? Texas can make its own laws, but there will be Texas law, and then there is the federal law of the United States.
No,
so the federal law trumps Texas law from the Supreme Court perspective. When they rule on a matter, sometimes they may rule that the Texas law is valid from a constitutional point of view. I'm just giving an example by using Texas. Or they may say, okay, no, the federal law, Texas has to obey the federal law. Is it that you're thinking some sort of system like that?
No, I'm not thinking that. That's one of the options. Remember that 3 choices. No one has ever come to Tobago and speak about our right to choose independence, our right to further deepen the autonomy between Trinidad and Tobago, which is what you are speaking of, because our federal system is an autonomous system, right? And or to have an association. Independence and associations have never been discussed as our right to choose. And self-determination gave us the right to say we don't want to be part of Trinidad. We want to have our own flag, our own national anthem, and our own representative at the United Nations. We could say that. That's our right to choose at Tobago. We have the right to say that we could be independent, but we want to maintain the Trinidad and Tobago dollar, share our borders for economic reasons and national security. We could determine that, but Tobago must decide. And Tobagonians, since 2021 election, we have had a revolution. Tobagonians are not the same. You cannot come to us and think that we are accepting anything less than our right to decide. We are not choosing anything at this point in time. We do not want a federal system. We do not want independence. We do not want an association. What we want is the right to discuss it among ourselves and vote on it collectively. Not where you go in a dark room with 5 people and say you had consultations. We do not want that type of madness. It must be a campaign on different views. And
so is it that you're suggesting a referendum of some sort for Tobagonians to decide the future?
Well, the Constitution doesn't recognize referendum, so I wouldn't use that term, but it could be something of that nature, right? But Tobago deciding must be an authentic exercise that involves every single Tobagonian, even those here and those abroad. They must have a right to communicate what their views are, because some Tobagonians have left the island looking for greener pastures. There's nothing taking place here. Right?
But there's no greener pasture than leadership of the country, and you've had 2 Tobagonians in that position. In terms of the current prime minister being one, and so I assume let's talk the current prime minister is also seeking the interests of Tobago as a Tobagonian. So it's not that Tobagonians can't be aspirational to the highest leadership of the country. In fact, they have done it twice.
And the presidency too.
I agree with you that fully. I would have a problem with that. Tobagonians, I mean, we have one state here. I'm not speaking separatism here. I'm not speaking secession. I'm saying we have one state, to Trinidad and Tobago. And for me personally, I like the one state, Trinidad and Tobago. We're talking equality of treatment and the right of Tobagonians to choose their own destiny.
Mr. Duke, how do you see the law being evolved to, in terms of what you're suggesting, to deal with the powers of the Tobago House of Assembly? How do you see that evolving in the context of what you're speaking about?
Let me take a long shot at answering that question. The first thing we want to have settled within Trinidad and Tobago is the repealing and the replacing of that old constitutional slave act called the Trinidad and Tobago Act of 1887. That is where our problem lies. As the first one must be repealed and replaced with something more modern, more just, something that defines Tobago and then defines Trinidad as being both equal. And also, once that is done now, we then move to the Constitution. And then we amend the Constitution whereby we further entrench that and say both islands are equal in status and opportunities. None must dominate the other. Then we come to and then we talk about self-determination in the Constitution. Once that is done, we then come to we then create now, allow Tobago to create or to choose rather, its self-determination. That must be done with the best of minds, putting forward their arguments and allowing Tobago to vote on the idea whether we want to have an autonomy, and the autonomy must be defined in this manner, a federal system or whatever, whether we want to have independence, or whether we want to have independent but yet be an association with Trinidad. And that has to be done among Tobago, within the House of Assembly. Once that is done, and they choose, based on the choice, a series of actions will flow from that moment.
I mean, it's a little, I hear you, but it's a little confusing, I think, in terms of how it's coming across, because it's like, if I'm to summarize what you're saying, Watson Duke, is that you don't know which path Tobago is going to go on until Tobagonians discuss it.
That's right.
And basically, so there is really no clear path until that discussion has taken place and there's some sort of referendum on the issue.
That's right.
If a referendum is, as well, a referendum can only be on guide. There's no legal basis for it according to our constitution.
Exactly.
So, I suppose it's a mixed bag. But you have so many. I suppose there'll be a lot of things to navigate.
And you are a lawyer. You are a lawyer. It's very complex.
Yeah. How is that? How that is going to happen?
What are your thoughts on Mr. Augustine calling the Prime Minister akin to a house slave?
I think it's disrespectful.
Not akin, you call him a house slave.
I think it's disrespectful. It betrays the level of trust we have in the position as Chief Secretary. The Chief Secretary ought to be a diplomat. He ought to understand the language of diplomacy. The Prime Minister is the Prime Minister. One would understand if he was a trade unionist and he made that statement out of anger, disgust, or whatever. But as a politician to the next, one who is leading Tobago, which is a ward of Trinidad and Tobago, and he is leading Trinidad and Tobago, you have to be careful how you address the Prime Minister. And I'm no friend of
Did you just say that if he was a trade union, that it would be okay? If he was a trade union leader saying that about the Prime Minister, that would be okay? Is that what you just suggested?
No, I've just said to you, if it was a trade union leader making a statement, one would understand the context of it. I mean, trade union leaders are always fighting, always militant, etc. But
it would still be a disrespectful statement, Watson Duke, and insulting. Regardless of who it comes from.
My brother, I have heard your point of view. Now, please listen to my point of view. Right? My point of view is simply this. That as the Chief Secretary, we're discussing the Chief Secretary right now. Let's not go on all of stuff, right? The chief secretary made a statement that I think was unfortunate. And he ought to understand that in politics, there ought to be a level of diplomacy. Even though you don't like people, you have to be a level of diplomacy. I saw Augustine recently in a funeral, and I showcased and I said, hey, my brother, go much love, man. And I was said, that's diplomacy, right? I wouldn't turn away my face to man and say, you're a fool, you're a clown, or speak words up. No. If I see me, acknowledge him. If you see me, acknowledge me. That's diplomacy. So I think he erred there severely, and it does not represent Tobagonians' view on the matter. We still respect the Prime Minister, and I think the Prime Minister has a right to be respected. The office must be respected, in particular where politics is concerned. And not only the Prime Minister, even the opposition. Sometimes I think within Parliament, we get carried away in trying to be wannabes. You know, this is a place of decency. It's a place of great decorum where you fight with ideas, not at each other.
Should he apologize?
Yeah. That would have been my question too. Should he apologize?
Should the Secretary apologize for the statement?
I do not want to speak for a person, right? And it would be difficult for me to speak for a person and what I think. But I definitely I'm saying that he should desist from making such statements. And whether he did it publicly or not, he should try to make amends, because he has definitely put a blow to that relationship that was not necessary. Remember, the Prime Minister is responsible for all of Trinidad and Tobago by law. He's fully responsible for Tobago too, which is a subset of Trinidad and Tobago. And you cannot fly in a man's face and say, hey, he's a house slave. You know, I mean, he didn't say directly, but he inferred that by his message. And I think that he has to be a little more tactful than that. I mean, he's young, but he's reckless also with that youthfulness.
Do you think
you're not somebody that's been known to have been tactful all of the time, Watson Joe? Have you always apologized?
Let me say to you, my brother, right? Is it the subject of our discussion, apology? Or we talking or you just guys that you challenge me when they see me, have me on set, they challenge me. Huh? I think we're discussing autonomy issues on Tobago's right. I don't want to make it personal about Farley or personal about myself. We are all human beings, and at times people and I've just dealt with what I think was an error on his part.
Yeah, but you bring Farley into this thing. You responsible for Farley, you know. Totally, and wholly responsible for Farley.
I agree with you. I was responsible for Farley as long as he remained within the party. Once he left the party, he's on his own. He said he's independent. When children are under your roof, you have a certain level of control over them when you're under the age of self-determination, so to speak. Once they have reached that age where they could determine things for themselves, you have to now make room for them to develop as an adult. And Farley definitely is developing and growing to something that Tobago is very much displeased with. And I would really want to leave it at that. Yeah.
Do you think there'll be a political price for him to pay for this?
There should be a price, of course. Anyone who makes bad on a good deal needs to pay a price. He had a good deal. He had 14 seats. I gave him, I said, look, leave Tobago, because our problem is not in Tobago, our problem is in Trinidad. And I will go to Trinidad and I will take on the fight in Trinidad. And as I making preparation, touching the ground in Trinidad, he said, man, turning back and go some political stabs in my back. You know what I mean? Disrespecting me, clapping, pull everybody who I brought into the election, saying, well, look, let you go. And when your children are shouting at you and they're making it very uncomfortable for you to live in your own house, the best thing is to walk away and not suffer yourself to be denigrated publicly. And
so how would you respond to those who said, then that suggests what kind of parent were you, figuratively?
Well, everyday parents are blamed, but everyday parents could give a recital of what they have done so as to prevent that. And I think that a child will always choose his own way. The Bible said Cain and Abel were brothers, and Cain killed Abel. Where Cain saw that from? Where you got that from? The heart of man is desperately wicked and deceitful above all things. The Bible says we go astray from the time we are born. People are born.
Is the PDP preparing to fight as the 41 seats in 2025 as a party?
No. We are not fighting the 41 seats. Our main focus is on Tobago. Like I said, our main focus is on Tobago. It doesn't mean if we see an opportunity where we can definitely win a seat in Trinidad and a representative comes around, we would give consideration to that seat. All right, but that's on a one-on-one basis. But our focus is on Tobago. The PDP is a Tobago-born party with a national perspective. We believe what's good for one is good for all, what's good for Peter is good for Paul. And so we believe in the justice and equity of all human beings, regardless of where you're from.
Do you believe a deal has been struck between the TPP and the UNC?
Well, I mean, we are seeing patterns of behavior, but I have not reached a place where I have a belief. I'm seeing similar patterns of behavior. I'm seeing mouthpieces almost making similar sentiments as those expressed by the UNC in the Tobago House of Assembly and vice versa in the UNC as in Tobago House of Assembly. And let me say, the UNC is somewhat divided, I'm hearing, because there are persons in the parliament who are UNC, and there are those who are UNC. And I'm not even sure who is the UNC and who deal he has made the deal with, as the case may be. So there's a lot going on there, a lot of confusion. But one thing I know is that when the bell is rung for election, all that will be sorted out. People straighten up when they hear the bell ring and they know it's school time, and they will now pay attention.
Do you think your PDP has the same political influence in Tobago as you did when you were aligned with Mr. Augustine before he formed his own party and separated from you? Because when you aligned together, you were able to have that extremely significant impact on the outcome in the assembly elections.
I think we are more we're doing far better now than when we had the alignment. I mean, people have not seen the new alignments as yet, and so that may be something that they're still looking at. But definitely, our future look bright, and this is why I'm wearing sunglasses. Our future look really bright for the PDP. We maintain our commitment to the people of Tobago. We are going to serve the people of Tobago, not to be their lords. We will be truthful with the people of Tobago, not to lie to them. We will look after the people of Tobago as if they were our very own brothers and sisters, etc. Even the Prime Minister, when he's finished with his public life and he chooses to return in Tobago, where he always spoke of living, we want the Prime Minister to live out his whatever days God has given to him or years God has given to him in Tobago, unmolested, unprovoked, and without being bad mind or
Have you chosen your candidates for Tobago East and West yet?
We have not done that, but we have a lot of persons showing interest, and we will operate a little bit differently this time. The last time we moved in the open, this time we are using stealth. Almost imperceptible to the human eye, we are moving.
Are you going to be one of those candidates?
That may be so, it may not be so. I'm favored. People are asking me to run for Tobago East. I'm giving strong consideration for it, but only when the bell is rung, then we begin to assemble our campaign team, then we will be able to take off. As a matter of fact,
because you've come from the same source, do you think the PDP running as a political entity and the TPP running as a political entity may split the votes and veer in favor of the PNM? Is that a possibility? Something you're concerned about?
No, I'm not concerned about it. If I'm to be straight with you and give you my point of view on it, the PNM is dead in Tobago. They're dead. They will not resurrect in Tobago, right? And the TPP, they are an anchor that has never taken off. They have remained in the same spot. They have entered into politics. Puerile minds that are undeveloped, and person with no vision. That's it. That's why the party that Farley has. I don't even know what the name is. And so I can tell you this. The PDP is in a race against itself. It's Watson Duke versus Watson Duke. The PDP versus the PDP. My only problem will be if at the end of the day, I choose candidates that give the people of Tobago a deja vu kind of feeling, and a kind of feeling that make them sick. I've been there, I've done it.
So then, about a year, what do you think are the main political issues that will be resonating with the people of Tobago heading to 2025 general elections?
Definitely Tobago and Tobagonians. Tobagonians are very self-focused kind of people. We're predominantly Africans, so there's no race issue here, but they want persons who are Tobago-centric, Tobago-focused, who really care about Tobago, and you must mean what you say and say what you mean. Fali has done a poor job at that. I mean, we have a long list of things he said he would do and didn't do, and I'm sure the PNM is compiling a list of things he said he would have done and didn't do also. He really cannot make it. He has nuisance value so far as his political future is concerned. However, he has value as the chief secretary because that's a position that he's not acting in, it's a position to which he was appointed. And therefore, people will hold on to the hem of his garment looking for relief until the election bell ring. And when the bell ring, people will recognize they have a finite time now in which they can choose who the next leader will be, and that will be the end of him. But until such time, they will hold on to the hem of his garment. They're looking for something, looking for some change of life. Insofar as the PNM is concerned, the PNM is one of those things that people are tired of. After 21 years, and there's no significant change towards the development of Tobago's economy or our social and cultural development, and there's no significant move in our political status or improvement in it, then we are saying the PNM is persona non grata. The PNM had PNM in Tobago, they had PNM in Trinidad. Why didn't they amend the constitution then and fix it if that was an issue on their agenda? No, it was not an issue. And so the political revolution has taken place, and Tobagonians are now sick of the PNM, and the whatever party Fali has is persona non grata. It's about me and me conducting myself in a manner that approves, that the Tobagonians approve of. And I'm trying my level best to...
What are your thoughts on the recent controversies surrounding the ENR in Robinson International Airport project?
Give Jackie Jacket and Jimmy Jim boots. I mean, it's a beautiful project to look at. I have not been into the project to inspect. I can't see the floors on the building, and I have not read the report. But from outside, it's aesthetically pleasing to the eyes. And to me, that means a lot for Tobagonians. And it is now the window through which we can appeal to a larger airlines to land in Tobago as a means of going in transit to other places in South America.
Thanks to the PNM. It's now the biggest and best airport in the Caribbean, Watson. Thanks to the PNM.
I will not make that statement. I will just say it's a good-looking airport.
You could just say, I agree with you. You don't want to make the statement.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you.
You just said the PNM is politically dead in Tobago, but the PNM, central government, has delivered what you said is an advantage for Tobago in the airport that can
No, it is not. I like the point you're raising, Well, I'm making some good arguments for the PNM or the Prime Minister, so to speak. But let me speak of the drawbacks of the airport now. Let's assume $1.5 billion will be the final cost of the airport. All that money has gone back in the majority to overseas. None of that money remained here in Tobago for its development and growing its own local economy. None of that money has been used for domestic consumption. Do not tell me that that some folks got jobs there. We're not talking. I know guys who got electrical work there, but those are small ends. We are saying in Tobago, our policy, my policy, the PDP policy in Tobago, any major contract here in Tobago, major contract must be led by a Tobagonian or partnered with a Tobago firm. We must build capacity in our people. And so in a case like that, where we have $1.5 billion being spent, we are saying 50-50. If they are taking a contractor from OSEAC or wherever, 50% of the contract is theirs, 50% is Tobago. And Tobagonians must learn fast and come up to scratch. So there must be capacity building, institutional strengthening. We cannot send all that money back to Kwaito. That's a shame on those who would have given the project to the contractor. I'm not going to call the contractor anymore where the money went, but just saying that money did not remain in Tobago. We got chick feed, we got scrums, and that to me is an insult for Tobagonians. But it doesn't take away from the fact that the airport looks good. I'm not saying it's a good airport. I've not done any check on it. I've not read any report, but it looks good.
What's strange enough, and I'm making no how I should put excuse for what you just said. I subscribe to those things that the economy of the country should be built with the resources that we have. But strange enough, that same accusation is being leveled against the current THA and Farley in terms of contracts he is giving out. And it's mostly Trinidadians benefiting from it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And I do not subscribe to that. I mean, I hate the idea. And that is why he has become persona non grata. He's taking salt and rub it in the children's faces and say it is scrub, face scrub. We do not want that as a face scrub. We have heard it from the Prime Minister that he sent $300 million in Tobago for development. And he said that $3 million was sent back to Trinidad with Trinidad contractors coming to develop Tobago. We have seen in Tobago here, there's no Tobago contractor here that has got any $20 million contract. They are all fooling people. And he's going to pay a price for that at the polls because Tobago is poorer off for the Farley-led THA administration. We are poorer off. And there's no lies about that.
All right.
Watson, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's a pleasure meeting with you, and may God bless you all in the future. And
what's now to tell you, you've changed a lot. You're a much calmer, reasoned person to talk to because you know me and you had plenty of warlords in the past.
Tobago life.
You call it growth and development. I'm a man, I'm never satisfied with myself. I'm always trying to better myself, and I'm trying to be a better me every single day.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Have a great Christmas as well. Watson Duke.
I was so tempted to ask him about what she named her, but I still let me behave myself. Paul go shut me down.
No, actually, I had to restrain myself also. I want to ask him what he thought about People's Party.
What's the name of the party?
What's the name of associate? Sorry, Miss Jackson.
The party is more national in scope. It's not a Tobago-based party.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's not really relevant to ask him, really.
I don't. I have
no. Well, if there's any chance of them linking together again to form a what they call it?
Careful what you would.
To get a foothold.
Yes.
To get a foothold in the politics.
Yeah,
to get a figurative foothold.
Because he's Tobago, she is Trinidad. I just thought that they just go well together.
In his own words, they have linked before.
Yeah.
So maybe they may want to link again to get some sort of a foothold.
Richard, you see how I open the rabbit hole?
I don't think there was value asking that question, and I stand by that because she's.
I didn't want to go down that road.
I would not have gone down that road. He was clearly a different Watson Duke this morning.
But you see, I had to take a breath because he made a statement, put his foot in it, and then didn't know how to take his foot out and then tried to deflect with the Senate nonsense.
With the what? Sorry.
The Senate nonsense he was talking.
Oh yeah. That was
you're talking nonsense and then say you ain't here to talk about that. And then and from what I got, I could be wrong. That he doesn't have a clear understanding of what he thinks the construct should be.
It should be. Yeah.
There's a lot of obfuscation, and we'll let Tobago decide, which we all agree Tobago should have probably the most significant say in it. But I didn't get that he himself knew what should evolve, how it should evolve.
Because Tobago
passing that the bill didn't go far enough, understood or knew what should have been included in the bill to make it more palatable in terms of giving Tobago, or what autonomy in his mind means for Tobago moving forward as an evolved equal partner with Trinidad. So I just
let's face it, the government has made an effort to ensure that Tobagonians are represented in the Senate. The independent bench has also made that effort to ensure that Tobagonians are represented in the Senate. But strange enough, the opposition, I don't know that they've ever put a Tobagonian there in the Senate.
True. Gillian John is on the opposition bench in the Senate.
Gillian John is Tobagonian? Born Tobagonian?
Yes.
Okay, right. Well, I stand corrected. Thank you for that. But I know that an effort
bench in the Senate and also the president of the Senate is Tobagonian.
So well, I know the president is.
There's no Tobago seat in the Senate. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's why I ask, is it that you think the chief secretary should have a say in appointing a person on a bench? You understand?
Yeah.
You didn't even have a clear idea on that. So I just like, you know what, at this point.
So wait, if the opposition has a senator, a Tobagonian senator in Gillian John, why haven't they ever considered contesting Tobago?
I will not be able to answer that.
You know, I just never, I know Gillian John, I just never knew that she was so rooted in Tobago, you know. I didn't know.
It's not just so rooted, it's a matter of she's from Tobago. She's born in Tobago.
But she ain't there as no Tobagonian. She there for other reasons.
Oh, you could say that.
Gillian John has I like Gillian John, though I ain't getting in between. Gillian John and I have a very good relationship. I admire that lady, especially for her hard work and so on. Right? I just think she should be given a safe seat and not have to battle with Foster again in La Hoqueta. But she doesn't say she ain't going.
She said, I saw a newspaper report indicating she's not offering herself as a candidate.
She said she not. Yeah, give her Napari, man. Rodney done gone.
You know,
give her a safe seat, man. Because I don't always agree with things she's saying, but I admire her fight. I have always done that.
And you have to admire, from all reports, she's an extremely hard worker.
Yeah.
Accomplished a lot given the resources.
Yeah.
You understand?
But I just never got the impression she was there in opposition as a Tobagonian senator. I never got that impression.
Gillian John has spoken on several occasions in the Senate, particularly focused on Tobago issues.
Okay. Well, again,
don't say that because it's
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
That's all right.
She speaks on national issues also, but if there's an issue that has a Tobago interest in it, she's the one who speaks.
Okay. All right. I remember Delman Baker. No, he was an MP.
Which one?
I remember him. Huh?
Dr. Delman Baker. Is that
Dr. Delman Baker, right? Where does he disappear?
He ended in some level of ignominy.
Well, we want to find out.
Stop. It's my fault. I open the door a little bit. So all you want to see is a little piece of light outside the door.
What do you use the word ignominy? I gone, you know.
I know. But I have to stop you because I know it's 6:58. You'll have a wonderful day today.
I wasn't going to lie.
Right?
Folks, have an absolutely wonderful day. Ms. Dr. Richards, I will see you later.
All right, have a fantastic day, people. Of course, remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health, and we'll speak to you bright and early tomorrow morning, which will be Thursday.
Yep.
And you know, that's heralds the beginning of the weekend in a sense. I'll tell you about it tomorrow.
All righty, gentlemen. Have a good one. Speak with you guys bright and early come tomorrow morning. All right. Let's get into 8 o'clock news brief. AV is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is time for your news update to 8 o'clock. I'm Avril Sintil-Bab. Good morning. PDP leader Watson Duke says that Farley Augustine's comments comparing the Prime Minister to a house slave after the defeat of the Tobago Autonomy Bills on Monday is unfortunate. After the bill's failure on Monday, Augustine took to Facebook saying, quote, "Nothing is worse than when your relative who sits in the seat of power is nothing but a house slave who ignores the real dreams and aspirations of those he left behind in the field in Tobago," end quote. He hashtagged house slave mentality and wicked Prime Minister. Duke told the Power Breakfast Show this morning that the comments betray the level of trust that is had in his office. Duke noted that Augustine must be a diplomat and have respect for the Prime Minister. He said he should try to make amends for his unfortunate comments since he made a fracture in the relationship that was simply not necessary. He insisted that tact should have been used even if the THA secretary was upset, and tact must be used again in treating with the aftermath of his comments. Duke revealed that he believes that there will be a heavy political price to pay following the incident. And Emancipation Support Committee Chairman Zakia Uzoma-Wadada says that she was left shocked after the Chief Secretary labeled the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, a house slave. Uzoma-Wadada noted that even if leaders' responses come from an emotional place, due diligence is necessary. And Chaguanas West Member of Parliament Dinesh Rambali claims that the government's slow pace in addressing the repatriation of Trinidadian children detained in Syrian camps has now been further complicated by the recent ousting of President Bashar al-Assad in Syria. Without your updates to 8 o'clock, look out for news in full at 12 noon. I'm Avril Cynthia Bab. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Yes.
You said to go
1
to
minute after the hour of 8 o'clock. And she's back. Yep. I'm talking about Denise Deming. Good morning to Denise.
Good morning. And we just have a little issue with our guest who's trying to download. So maybe you could put some stuff on before my guest comes on.
Oh, I can't do that. But I can give you.
But you see, the whole point is that we now have a convention that says that a person with disability has all of the rights of anybody else. And the Trinidad and Tobago government, because it has signed up to that convention, is bound to create laws or to create legislation that ensures those rights. I think that's pretty wonderful. What do you think?
Oh, it's a pretty good idea.
Thank you so much, Eileen.
Thank you, Jean.
Let's look to the future.
There is a connection between government policy and law in the sense that all laws start as some type of government policy. So, for example, in Trinidad and Tobago, we would have had the recent national policy on persons with disabilities. And that policy talks in very strong terms about the need to both enact laws to provide for the human rights of persons with disabilities. It also talks about the need to amend laws that we have on our statute books right now that discriminate against persons with disabilities. So once that policy is adopted and approved by the cabinet, then the process of making it a law can begin. The difficulty with the policy remaining as a policy, two things. One, it's not enforceable. So it does not really give you any rights legally because it's just a policy, it's not a law. And the other thing is that policies can change over time. Policies can change over time as the needs of the government or the focus of the government itself changes. It can change if the government itself changes. So that it's not enough for us to say, well, we have a policy. We have to take that further step to make the policy a law, because that is what will give full protection for the human rights of persons with disabilities.
I believe that without legislation in Trinidad and Tobago, pretty much nothing gets done. And when it comes to people with disabilities, legislation will assist by way of education and especially employment.
Legislation sets the tone for how we treat each other as a society. It provides those boundaries and the expectations, and it also upholds the rights of all of the citizens.
Legislation is important for everyone in society as it sets rules and regulations that create an organized, safe and fair environment in which everyone is equal.
They form the opinion that because you have a disability, that you are somehow unintelligent, stupid, ridiculously asinine, you name it. So legislation is quite important, and I hope that legislation is soon coming so that people with disabilities can be who they are. People first, disabilities after.
There is a connection between government policy and law in the sense that all laws start as some type of government policy. So, for example, in Trinidad and Tobago, we would have had the recent national policy on persons with disabilities. And that policy talks in very strong terms about the need to both enact laws to provide for the human rights of persons with disabilities. It also talks about the need to amend laws that we have on our statute books right now that discriminate against persons with disabilities. So once that policy is adopted and approved by the cabinet, then the process of making it a law can begin. The difficulty with the policy remaining as a policy, two things. One, it's not enforceable. So it does not really give you any rights legally because it's just a policy, it's not a law. And the other thing is that policies can change over time. Policies can change over time as the needs of the government or the focus of the government itself changes. It can change if the government itself changes, so that it's not enough for us to say, well, we have a policy. We have to take that further step to make the policy a law, because that is what will give full protection for the human rights of persons with disabilities.
I believe that without legislation in Trinidad and Tobago, pretty much nothing gets done. And when it comes to people with disabilities, legislation will assist by way of education and especially employment.